I'll push the lolicon button against you. You can argue with me on your stream. I mean, I'm a small brain anti. You could totally beat me, right? Right? Jiggle, 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 jiggle. Okay, so pretty much I got into a bit of a kerfuffle. I got into a Twitter argument with someone named Permaband, and apparently I missed the point of something in Rev's video relating to a former political party in Germany. Why am I calling them that? Well, because it's early in the video and YouTube doesn't like mentioning that directly early on. So you know what? Let's just see what he's got to
Hey, what's up,
say.
guys? Rev here. So, Spider-Man
Hey,
Across the Spider-Verse has concluded its first weekend at the box office, and it's been a very big success, and a lot of people are really excited about this film. And of course, when the product of a fandom goes viral, so too does the ridiculous takes surrounding it. So there are probably a few dozen viral tweets like the one you're looking at now, who are claiming that the character Gwen Stacy is transgender. Now, they base this off of probably 2 frames from the recent film, and mostly, well, you guessed it, their headcanon. Now, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to select this thread in particular because I think it is the best example out there. I mean, look at it. It's got, oh my god, 90,000 likes on this thread. And the reason I choose this one is also
okay.
because it basically grabs all the talking points people are using to claim that Gwen Stacy is trans, and it puts it all in one spot. So also, as a reward for
Andy.
listening to me dissect these points, I will also share at the end of the video this original poster's complete public meltdown the second they were ever questioned on their beliefs and headcanon. So let's begin with the first argument here that points to
It's
specific
not petty at
images
all.
and frames from the last film that prove Gwen Stacy is trans. This first one might be hard to see, but in her room, she has a flag that says, "Protect trans kids." And then the other evidence, which is a little more shaky, is what some people claim is a trans flag on the sleeve of her father's police uniform. Now, I say that one's a little bit suspect because in other frames, the color.
Really, bro? That one's more suspect than the protect trans kids flag? Because you can make an argument that protect trans kids, like one of those flags can only be used by allies. But then when you have a parent that actually displays that flag on their uniform, especially as a cop, that kind of really indicates that, hey, maybe there's more to this. Maybe. Does every bit of representation need to be explicitly stated? Apparently. Otherwise people just don't understand it.
Palette here looks different, but for the sake
Oh,
of
I'm sure
argument, let's
chat's
just say that
talking
it
over
is
me.
a trans flag on his sleeve.
Terrible at watching.
What does this
I need
prove?
something like
Apparently, to these
overlay
users, this
chat
proves
on
that
top
Gwen
of
Stacy
my
is
game.
trans. Fellas, does supporting trans people make you trans as well? That is the logic they're
Sometimes.
going with here. I mean, all this really shows is that Gwen and possibly her father are trans allies. It doesn't make them trans. That's such a weird string of logic. That's basically saying if I went online and ordered a trans rights button or something, all of a sudden I must be trans too. Like, that's a very strange string of logic there. But here's another thing that a lot of people have been.
Well, one other thing with that is a lot of people that get super invested in like just very interested in trans people, hmm, turns out they had a little deeper feeling, I'm going to say, to look into it and start arguing on their behalf. I mean, it kind of happened with me. I was always saying, live the life you want to live. And then I never really stopped and asked myself, am I living the life I want to live? But, I mean, when I did, turns out I was trans. And hey, that's pretty common. That said, it doesn't necessarily make her trans. But, I mean, you never really know. There's a lot of heavy implications in art, like movies and stuff. A lot of it is ooh, yay, warping me around, you cunt. A lot of it A lot of it really has to. Oh shit, I'm dying. Really has to do with. I forget what I'm saying. Go on, Rev.
bringing up, the colors are the trans flag, and they're pointing out not just scenery, but also some of the color palettes of her hair in her room and things like that. Which, number one, I find the whole concept of a sexuality or a gender or religion or any sort of group owning a color palette to be very strange, but they're using this to justify that, well, she must be trans based on these color schemes. While other users have attempted to make
You know, a very common thing in art is that an artist will depict the colors of the shades, like the blinds in a window, as blue if they want to convey that that character is dealing with depression and noticed that thing specifically. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't the scene previously, like right here, where she's talking with her dad about secret identities? Like I haven't watched the movies, but I haven't watched that movie yet. You know, I'm poor. I wish I had watched it, but I've been spoiled to that part where I'm pretty sure she was talking with her dad about secret identities, and then the color palette shifted harshly to those specific colors of the flag. It's not that those colors automatically always apply it. It sounds to me like there was very much an artist heavily implying it. I wish I saw the movie, but I can't. I'm not pirating that movie. I want to see it in theaters if I can.
using this to justify that, well, she must be trans based on these color schemes. While other users have attempted to make that same claim that, well, based on her design, she must be trans. Well, if you apply that logic to the other uniforms from other characters in that franchise, you get a probably unsavory result. And if you want to use it for Gwen Stacy, you got to use it for everyone. And I guess
Really? Okay, so just to be clear, apparently this is not equating trans people with Nazis. This is just saying if you apply this logic to one character, you apply it to all, and the only three colors I can see with black, red, and white is the swastika Nazi flag. But that's not a comparison. I'm just bringing it up as a not comparison to why you shouldn't call colors of lighting and shit in a movie as why they're trans.
it doesn't turn out too well, now does it? But moving on to the next argument people are making, it has to do with her whole arc being a trans allegory. Now, of course, a story about Gwen discovering and accepting
Oh, this is honestly psychic damage.
who she is probably very relatable to transgender people. But guess what? That narrative is relatable to everyone. Everyone goes through some portion of their life learning how to accept something about themselves. That is a very human story and narrative, okay? That is not something that any individual group owns, okay?
I wonder what Rev thinks about The Matrix being a trans allegory. I would love to hear him talk about that.
Again, it's just like the whole concept of the color schemes. It's very odd for anyone to claim that a certain narrative belongs to any group. And I find that to be very unconvincing. And then this whole thing about her white cop dad, you can probably understand this is a lot of coping and seething about other issues, and it's just not important for the
What? Most telling, her white cop dad wears a trans colors on his uniform. No fucking cop is that much of an ally unless they have a trans family member. Fucking true. Even in fucking Canada, we don't get that progressive of police. But we do have some that have at least the word police on their vest in rainbow. And that's usually because they are queer themselves or they have a queer family member they're supporting. Otherwise, they have nothing. I mean, there's a small handful that actually. Oh my god, in Canada, there are people that do the thin blue line shit. We're progressive, but not as progressive as people like to think.
The whole Gwen Stacy trans arc that we're talking about today. But this user would continue to double down, and they would do what many people do when they have a tweet that goes viral. They start getting cocky, they start rubbing their opinion and
If people used a different flag, the argument would hold up better? Yeah. Honestly, yeah. But he's like, if you apply this logic, or if you apply the logic, you've got to apply it to everything. And the only thing I can think of with those colors is Nazis? That just reeks of implicitly implying that trans people are pushing a ideology of control, which I don't advocate for. I push for an ideology of personal expression and comfort. It's not about making kids trans, or it's not about making cis kids trans. It's about making sure trans kids survive. Holy fuck. But no, people don't want to listen to what I have to say because I'm fucking trans or whatever. And they get pissy about my tweets or some shit. I don't care.
in people's faces. And of course, their egos are very fragile despite what they might try to impress upon you. But they go on to say, by the way, I'm cool with shoving trans, queer, and people of color characters down y'all's throats. If you don't like it, you have bad taste, and someone has to give you something with effing flavor. Can't just have salt on everything. White savior comp.
Oh, that's base. I like that response from them. Mostly because how much explicit trans representation is there in media? How much is there of most minorities? Because there's been an improvement in recent years for sure, but holy shit, like when you think actor, this might just be my racist ass, but I don't think typically of. I mean, I try to. But the ones that are pushed down my throat the most are the fucking white ones.
Complex much? Like, yeah, don't worry, trans people, I'm saving you with this interpretation of this character. And also, I'm gonna use black people as a shield to deflect any criticism. I am a hero in this situation. Yeah, I'm sure people like you lumping them into an argument they want no part of. So you have quote retweets to that, like this
you
one saying,
adding
"Gee,
Nazis to
thanks
the
for making
argument
us your
for
shield and spear because you
some
hate your
reason."
dad, white savior." That's totally not going to have an adverse effect on those of us who are creating well-written characters who are gay and minorities. And that's the exact point we have been raising on this channel for weeks, if not months now, with everyone trying to take existing characters and change their race or their sexuality or their gender. It's just not that helpful. If you want proper representation, go create original characters who are gay or minorities or trans or whatever. Just go out there and make original characters. That is real representation. And the thing is, if people doubt that's possible, we just saw a tweet with
Okay, yeah, so every bit of representation does have to be explicit for him because he doesn't like nuance.
100,000 likes almost, saying that a character is trans with virtually no evidence. There is support for these types of original characters, and I am like losing my mind that illustrators and writers out there aren't taking advantage of this to produce more trans characters. I think there is a need for more trans characters. It'd be a good thing. It would make a lot of people very happy. But make original ones. You want the best representation? Make an original one. Don't just try to force that identity onto characters when it's really not accurate. But moving on.
But unironically, what is the harm of letting people have that headcanon? I don't care about that ring. What is the harm of letting people have that headcanon? Seriously, like I had a bit of an argument with somebody on Twitter that was it's compartmentalizing people and categorizing them and supports authoritarianism. And I'm like, holy moly. I mean, I'm pretty sure Rev also complains about Bridget being trans. Because, like, Bridget was made or confirmed to be explicitly trans recently. When in previously, they were just they just like dressing that way. They went from Finster to, well, me. So, well, I mean, Knuckles and Piccolo are black coded, aren't they? I think you could make a stronger argument for Knuckles. But I mean, it doesn't really make the hugest of difference if people want to find different ways to see themselves in characters. What do I care? It's just, well, it's just Twitter drama essentially. That's all of Rev's videos, isn't it?
The doubling down would continue. I mean, notice the smug attitude here. So someone says, "Stop forcing this agenda," and the original poster responds with, "Nah."
Oh my god. How dare they? Somebody being smug on Twitter? Fucking tag Elon Musk there. Tag Twitter support. That can't be allowed at all.
I'm gonna force it even harder now, just for you, with a kissy face emoji. Yeah, that attitude won't last very long. I will tell you that. So they go on to say to quote retweet their own tweet because they're noticing they're getting a lot of backlash. They say, "Y'all know, like, this is my opinion and interpretation of the storyline, right? Some of you are wildly taking my interpretation as some sort of a personal attack, and it's effing sad. Who the F cares if her comic lore doesn't depict this? Touch some grass." Yes, this user is
Another thing is it could be a different fucking universe. We're talking about multiverse characters. It could be one, the comic, sure, she could be cis in there, but this universe, hey, maybe it's a trans depiction of her, but wasn't fully or wasn't explicitly stated in the thing because, some artists like to have people think about their art.
telling you to touch grass. Besides the fact they're saying, well, maybe there's no evidence to support my claim, but it's my claim, and you shouldn't be able to protest that in any way. And if you do, you're angry. You need to touch grass, loser. That's basically what they're saying. But let's move on to some more responses. So this user right here is bringing up the fact that the original poster is getting very hostile towards people disagreeing with them. In fact, they went as far as to call other people ugly and saying that they should have been aborted in some deleted tweets. But this user says, "What do you
Ooh,
gain from insulting me
that's
right
not
now?
good.
I am not excusing the people who said slurs to you, nor excusing people harassing you. But you are going about this being toxic to people and talking stuff to everyone who even kindly disagrees, which isn't acceptable by any means." And they respond with, "No, I haven't. There have been plenty of people I've disagreed with, and I have said nothing negative to them. This person you cited called me delusional. That implies I'm mentally ill. That's not some kind of a disagreement. The fact that you side with that stuff shows me you're trash. What I gain from this is
I wonder if he's going to go into the paradox of tolerance.
simple. You're bothered, and that's enough for me. You can lie to me and say you're not bothered, but I know your type. You're a basic bitch who has no real struggles in their life, and you're trying to be a moral high ground on social media? It's sad." Yeah, imagine the person talking about no real struggles in their life while they're having a multi-day breakdown over a 15-year-old fictional character not being trans, and they're trying to force that identity onto that character. Talking about no real struggles. Yeah, you know, getting validation from
That's a pretty interesting point coming from aren't you in like your 30s, 40s and you're using a cute little avatar? Just saying. Not making any declarations. Just saying.
Angering people online is not exactly the reflection of a well-adjusted person. Also, keep in mind this whole thing about never
Keep that note in mind. Making people angry online is not the mindset of a well adjusted person because I got a video after this, a follow up video from Rev after this that I'm going to be listening to.
responding negatively to people who politely disagree, yeah, that's not going to last very long. So here's one of the responses to someone politely disagreeing. It says, the writers strive to develop a strong, organic female character, and users who didn't read the comics focus on 2 frames early in their work. Amazing what the future holds. And they respond with, you are ugly. Yeah, that's sick burn. That really got them. But they like that term apparently because they'll use it
Could have
some
been
more
better.
in other tweets we're going to look at. This user saying, it's just unfortunate that when someone has kindly disagreed with you, you call them ugly. You're one of those types of trans people I do not support. And I have many lovely trans friends. Do better. People have opinions. I mean, this reflects directly back to what the original poster said only a couple tweets ago, saying that they would never respond negatively to someone politely disagreeing. Well, here's their response to this user saying, LOL, I'm glad your allyship is conditional on me being polite. You're effing ugly. You just think you're a good person, but you're not. First of all, you're not your minor grammatical error, you lose. But moving on, they address this whole ugly thing where they keep calling people ugly, and people are obviously pointing that out as a low blow and childish insult, where they respond,
Yeah, I mean, she's melting down, it seems. As you mentioned. Kind of what happens with a lot of people when they get dogpiled online. They really should take more of a break. I mean, I'm guilty of this too. It's just not as public. Mostly because of relative size and, well, I don't really go viral. At least my videos are doing well, right?
me responding with,
Doing numbers.
you're ugly to people who insulted me, my intelligence, or sent me death threats is too much. Gods, I wish every entitled centrist would get kicked in their head so their brains could finally jumpstart after years of rot and decay. Yes, physical violence, threats of physical violence. The second someone calls out your warrantless opinion on social media, that seems well adjusted. But they have an explanation for all this
I
stuff.
mean, it
Don't worry,
was
it's okay, guys.
a warranted
Lots of people want to
original
call me
opinion.
mentally ill, like it's some sort of gotcha. It's called living in late stage capitalism. This is the most terminally online statement I have ever seen in my life. But I guess if there's one
Really? That's the most terminally online statement you've ever seen? I imagine he's being hyperbolic, but I don't know, he could be funnier. I mean, most conservatives could be funnier. People want to call me mentally ill. What's the
one
actual
positive
problem?
here, this whole concept here is the reason I can monetize making fun of weirdos like this online. But nonetheless, the whole hysteria involving this character, it's just
I mean, if we didn't have to live under late stage capitalism, we could all be making tons of videos without having to worry about, you know, paying for bills, paying for our housing, paying for food. You know, we could just live our lives and enjoy them. But no, that's seen as lazy instead of a life worth living.
too much. Okay, I mean, here you have someone on a very large account saying, I love Spider-Verse, and I'm just learning now that they basically all but say Gwen Stacy is trans. Even if she's not, she's a hell of an ally with a protect trans kids flag over her door. We're talking about a fictional character, and you're like praising them for being an ally. It's a 15.
I am not surprised that you have no idea how the media we consume can affect the world outside of us. Like, come on, man. Seriously? The movies you watch, the games you play, and this stuff that you consume, that doesn't shape your personality or influence your actions outside at all? You've never had a perspective change because of a story that reached you in a different way that others haven't? I mean, I guess if you're closed-minded, then no.
18-year-old fictional character that doesn't exist. If you need validation from that, wow. I don't know what else to say. It's just kind of sad, but that's going to do it for this video. Yeah, lots of discussion about this whole thing, and I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments section down below. Crazy times we live in, but
He asked for people's thoughts in the comments section down below, but what he got was, well, Twitter got mad at him because, he brought up the Nazi flag and the trans flag in the same still for some reason when he could have applied colors to something else, but I don't know. I guess Nazi colors were just the first thing he came to mind with trying to think of groups that go along with colors. Anyways, part 2.
hey, what's up, guys? Right here.
Hey.
Just when I thought the brain rot stemming from the Gwen Stacy discourse couldn't get any worse, it managed to do just that. So the other day, I made a video looking at threads like this that claimed they had proof that Gwen Stacy was transgender. And of course, I spent time going through each of these points and proving that likely these prove nothing. And if you want the full details, you can check out my previous video listed in the description. But it appears that one of the points I made in that video greatly offended Twitter freaks. It was this point right here, where I, by the way, this is not my argument, I simply pointed out a comparison other users were making. They're saying that if you use this schizo logic,
It's not my argument. I'm just going to highlight it to my 600,000 subscribers offhandedly and then not really address it anymore afterwards. Totally not implicitly comparing the two groups because I dislike them or one of them.
to claim that Gwen is trans based on the color palette of her outfit, that same logic could be extended to other characters like Miles to show that he might be a Nazi. Is that a ridiculous claim? Yes, that's the entire point. All they are doing is extending this logic to something where the result is unsavory. Both of these things have to be true. If this proves that Gwen is trans, then guess what this proves? Yes, the whole purpose of this...
Oh my god, it wasn't just the fucking colors. It was the arc of her character. A lot of things in the background. Are you saying that just because colors are being used by groups of people, that means the entire thing applies? Regardless of how they behave or, share the experiences they have? Because I am willing to bet that Miles didn't really show any Nazi behavior. He just has colors that Nazis co-opted. It's almost like he's not paying attention to the full argument. That's not something Rev ever does, is it?
Post is to make fun of the logic used for this one. But apparently a lot of people missed the point with that entirely, including this Twitter user, and the quotes on this were already handling it and pointing out the hypocrisy of the statement, but I never turned down an opportunity for free content, so here we go. But they start off by saying, with a screenshot of that.
Oh, you never turned down the opportunity for free content? Well, fuck, I'll give you tons of free content. I'll push the lolicon button against you. You can argue with me on your stream. Or on my... I'll stream it too anyways. But, I'm a small brain anti. You could totally beat me, right? Right?
Exact point I just made, saying, in quotes, apparently I said this, yo bro, if you apply the logic that color means things, then that would actually make Miles Morales a Nazi because his colors are the same as the Nazi flag. Negative 5,000 media comprehension. Like I actually feel ableist just looking at this guy. So let me make this abundantly clear. I do not think that Miles is a Nazi. In fact, nobody thinks that Miles is a Nazi.
Because he doesn't act like a Nazi.
It is an extension of the schizo logic used to prove that Gwen is trans based on the color of her outfit. That is all it is. You guys created the game, and we're just playing it, right? You come out, people like who agree with this first.
You're not even understanding the fucking game, dude. And yet I'm the one that gets talked shit on for, ooh, I didn't watch the video. Oh, well, it seems so far that I was right. He is essentially equating them without fully fucking talking about it. He just brought it up and then was like, yeah, don't worry about it.
First statement here said that color means something when it's on a character. It proves something about them. Well, you just don't like the fact that it's been extended.
It doesn't prove a thing. It's an indicator. Oh my god. Do you not? Oh, he doesn't. He doesn't understand media comprehension. That Mrs. Peeps was right. There's a reason I follow her now. It is literally because of this thread, too. But, you know, mental gymnastics from the woke left and all that.
To something that has an unsavory result. That's all that's being pointed out here. And if you don't understand that, I feel sorry for you. In fact, it's so easily understandable that literal bots, a robot, can understand that that comparison and that extension of logic, or that basis of logic, is flawed. But moving on to other things they said, the whole mention of negative 5,000 media comprehension, I am very convinced you have absolutely no idea what the term media comprehension means. In fact, most.
And I'm completely convinced you don't give a shit about it. Like, I mean, you're just wanting to argue with people, but you don't want to argue with them directly. You just want to argue on videos and make your stances. Come on, man. Come on. Unlike your depiction of your avatar, be an adult. Talk to me. I'll be friendly, I promise.
Most people who use that have no clue. What I'm pointing out here, this comparison, has absolutely nothing to do with media comprehension. Okay? Like, it's just a fancy term to make you look.
I mean, I've said my piece. I've said my piece regarding that.
Smart by using it when it has absolutely no application to what I said in that video. And then this last part. Like, I actually feel ableist just looking at this guy.
Yeah.
That is the most Weenie Hut Jr. roundabout way of saying you want to call me a slur. Like,
Yeah, and it triggered you too. Got you to make a video about them. Maybe I should do it too.
go ahead and call me a slur. Like, what do you mean? You think I'm gonna like fall to my knees if that happens? Like, say it with your chest.
Well, it's more that she didn't want to cause. I'm assuming it's because she didn't want to cause splash damage to people she actually cared about, even though she wouldn't be that opposed to, talking shit against you directly.
At least, but I just find it very odd. I think this is a point to be made. You see a point in a video that you disagree with, and your first thought, like grabbing your armchair, holding on, trying not to say it, is to say slurs or call the person a slur. That's your reaction? Like, I think your tweet is ass, okay? It's filled with hypocrisy and made up arguments that I didn't even.
I mean, dude.
Make, and yet I don't want to call you a slur. Why would I want to call someone a slur over something like this? It's so weird to me, and it tells a lot about that kind of a person, right? But moving on, I also noticed something in the replies. I was actually unable to see this without switching accounts because this account has me blocked. And yet, having me blocked, they still feel comfortable insinuating that I'm a pedophile with zero evidence, of course. And they have over 30,000 followers, so that's a pretty big thing to happen, right?
Well, I mean, people see defending Lolicon as defending pedophilia. Were you not aware?
And I don't really understand why people like this continue to water down the term pedophile to the point where it means absolutely nothing. When you sling this around like a buzzword to call anyone who's your enemy or someone who disagrees with you, you are watering down that term to the benefit of actual pedophiles. Because people.
Well, I mean, there's a very gray area with the type of art you constantly defend and pedophilia, isn't there? It's like I've been told by lolly VTubers that there is supposedly a lot of evidence regarding consuming such content and the reduction of CSA. I haven't been able to find it myself because I don't know what exactly to phrase when I'm searching for it, but apparently there's a lot of research out there. Source for claim rev? No, he gives less sources than I do. If you want to find the source, you just got to search for the actual text of the tweet, unless that tweet's been deleted. Well, actually, even then, you might still find it in the archives. Spirit spenders that teleport you while Epiphany is active are also mimicked on a nearby target. Damage for free. Holy shit! Is that a spirit spender? No. Fuck. That would have been great.
People don't take that word as seriously anymore because of people like this. You know, I can't even imagine, like, the fact that real victims don't get taken as seriously because of people making use of the word like this. It's terrible. The only person hurting kids in this scenario is this user, right? It's pretty obvious.
I don't think so. I disagree there. I mean, what I kind of think is that if you want to appreciate cute, petite adult women, say that. You don't need to essentially let people rope in minor characters that actually look like they're prepubescent and act like it just because they're fictional. Because, I mean, Rev doesn't know, but media you consume does affect you outside of that. Holy fuck.
I mean, pedophile means anything, I guess. And people are less likely to take pedophile accusations seriously. And let's see, like, what
No, people still take it pretty seriously. They completely avoid you.
people who agree with you, what do they think pedophilia is? Yeah. Pedophilia is when profile picture. Pedophilia is when video game. Like, I can't imagine, God forbid, imagine a CSA victim seeing a word that is used for their abuser being
I'm not going to say their name because they're a pretty good friend of mine and it's a very, very sensitive subject. So, in respect to their anonymity, we're not mentioning that. But I mean, her predator is quoted with saying he gets to do stuff with a real life lolly. So, I mean, there's not just that one story, and come on, you don't see why people see the consumption of that media as a problem? I mean, I guess he doesn't see, or he doesn't care.
watered down so much. It describes people with profile pictures who play video games and also as
Your profile picture is of a lolly character, and Genshin Impact has characters that explicitly look under 10, but they're like super old or whatever, and then they still act like children. And then people you defend sexualize that. That's why people have a problem with it. No actual harm being done. I hate that argument. Because, yeah, there is no actual harm being done. But it doesn't fucking. It is. It is fucking. It is not explicitly, in my opinion, it is not explicitly, literally pedophilia. It is hyperbolically pedophilia. Calling a lolly a pedophile is hyperbolic because it's still in the same vein. I would feel the same way if somebody called me a rapist for enjoying CNC. Whoop-de-doo. I like my own problematic shit. Except, I don't really do it publicly because, you know, I don't like pissing off CSA victims. Well, actually, yeah, I don't like pissing off CSA victims. I don't do the CNC stuff very publicly because I don't like pissing off SA victims. I'm fully aware that my interests, even though it is fully consensual, is still problematic and can be triggering to some people. I just personally give a shit if I actually trigger people. It's why I don't use the R slur.
At people with zero evidence. Imagine how demeaning that feels, that a word for your abuser is being watered down that much. It's just a buzzword to sling at people you don't like. It is absolutely disgusting.
It is also seen as disgusting by some CSA victims that defense of such depictions of art is disgusting and dehumanizing of them. Because, like, I've heard CSA victims that have been on both sides of this argument that some see it as a glorification of what happened to them and they want no part of it. And there are other people that see it as a way of overcoming it and controlling their experiences with it. I can't really stop people from coping in the ways that they need to. I just think if you're going to be coping with your CSA over that art, you're probably not going to be doing it publicly and proudly. Like, that's why I'm sus about the people that are proudly pro lolicon. It's like, what really is it to you? Is it that characters are cute, or is it that you don't give a shit about how CSA victims feel about the stuff you're spreading?
And behavior like this, you should be ashamed of yourself. And doing it all behind a block is like the cherry on top. That's the extra level of petty and ridiculous.
For me, with Rev, the extra level of petty and ridiculous is that he makes all these grandstanding videos, but then never actually talks with people that disagree with him. It's really cute. He just points out, hey, you like this problematic stuff too, and then makes a video. And that's it. But I mean, engage with the platform how you want.
And I already know these people are like bots. I know the response, well, I'm just asking a question. No, you're not. You're making an insinuation, and people accept it. Clearly, since hundreds of people liked it, and you go down the replies, and people just blindly accept it with no proof. Absolutely no proof. It shows complete, utter regard for this word that should actually mean something, by the way. You don't care about kids if you're flinging this word at people who simply disagree with you, have a different stance. And if this is over fictional content, by the way, I can prove the person the original poster you're responding to has underage characters in their likes. It's like, is that the game you're going to play? Because that's another predictable response.
Underage characters in their likes? Are they being sexualized, or are they just underage? Which is it? Is he going to show? Who knows?
But isn't it funny how every term just means nothing? For example, this person is replying not only agreeing with the pedophile accusation, but saying I'm a transphobe. What is the proof that I am a transphobe, by the way? And
that one I actually kind of agree with. I don't know of anything explicitly transphobic out of him. Just kind of implicit, where he's pushing back against trans representation unless it's completely explicit representation.
same video that they're talking about, I not only go on to say that it's good that Gwen is a trans ally. But I also say we need more original trans characters, and that's a really good thing and something that's needed. And the time is certainly right for it because there's a lot of support for trans characters. I make the only caveat being that original characters is a better form of representation for trans people than taking existing characters that are not trans and claiming that they are based on headcanon or very questionable evidence. Do you disagree
Yes, Rev, I disagree with you.
with that? Do you disagree with the fact that I think original characters are a better representation than taking existing ones that probably aren't trans in the first place?
No, I actually don't disagree with that. Original characters that are explicitly would be better, but we don't get that because corporations don't like having that too much. They want to reach as broad an audience. They want to reach people that listen to you. Cuz you might not be explicitly transphobic, but holy shit, a lot of the people that listen to you are.
Do you disagree with that? That's the point I'm raising. It's crazy to me. But as you can see, people don't like a taste of their own medicine. See how you get angry when people falsely accuse you of being a pedo? Like, that's the game we're playing. It's not the right thing to do. It's terrible, and it hurts kids. There's
What?
nothing else to say. This is clown behavior and doing it behind a block, like I said, even more pathetic. But that's going to do it for this video. Please share all of your related thoughts in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
I did not. I'm not going to leave a like. Rude. Big rude from me. He doesn't care if I like my video or if I like his videos. At least I would assume he wouldn't give a shit. Every little bit of engagement does help. Just saying. Traveler's Pledge. Oh, I have 2 of those. I don't even know what that set's for. The Slanderer. Oh, I got the Slanderer. I didn't even realize that. That's fucking amazing. Of course I get the Slanderer. That's what Perma called me. That's adorable. And of course, Perma's... You guys want to know something funny? The fact that Permaband is like really big on... Or not really big, but fairly sizable on Twitter. I don't even know if they have any YouTube or otherwise other kind of content. But they just seem like a online all the time Twitter user. And well, they were scared of getting dogpiled by chat. You guys, by my chat. Like, that's pretty funny. I said my 3 viewers would be nicer than I was. And I wasn't even explicitly rude. I just said I'm not surprised that he equates, or they equate trans people and Nazis. And, well, I mean, I still think they do. Implicitly. Passively. Because they spent so much time arguing that it doesn't matter. But, I mean, that's the nature of Twitter. Twitter's a shithole. Nobody should honestly go there, and yet we do. I'm only there because it's like... Honestly, because it's the easiest way to get in touch with other creators. That's really it for me. If I had a better alternative, I'd take it.